Hey friends, welcome back to Rita Talks. I'm Rita, and on this YouTube channel, I just share some of the thoughts, ideas that I've been thinking about, some of the things that have been going on in my mind. And in today's video, I want to talk about a topic that is very interesting, that I've been thinking about a lot, especially that, I'm involved in this women in engineering group, and basically we're trying to drive different initiatives when it comes to hiring. That's actually one of our focuses this year. And I've been trying to figure out like just to trying to understand like the root cause of all the problems with hiring. And basically, I don't know. The reason that I'm talking about this, first of all, is that today I was listening to an episode on Peter Diamandis' podcast. So, Moonshots with Peter Diamandis. I'm just putting up my phone here with, I think, with this lady who was basically a like chief people officer at different companies, etc. And I have some somewhat, I don't know, maybe not politically correct thoughts about this, because I've been reflecting a lot about, what's been holding, like, what has been contributing to the fact that there is not enough gender diversity in tech and stuff like this. And like, come to think of it, a lot of the people from the hiring side, so recruiters, HR, all of these people, actually it's a field that's primarily dominated by women, but not technical women. And so I don't know. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and basically, like, what these women are doing, like, I've come to realize that it's not necessarily actually helping us get more women engineers, because the thing is, these women, like, they don't have the technical abilities to be able to, like, hire, I don't know, to spot what an engineer looks like, especially a female engineer looks like. And so basically, I think like, maybe a better way to do hiring is maybe to distribute it to people who are actually in the roles. I mean, obviously, if you're going through an interview process, you're gonna get interviewed by people, by technical people. But I think the problem lies ahead, because the screening happens first with HR. I mean, to be honest, I'm not super familiar. Like, I think that's how it goes, is that basically your CV screening always happens by, like, is always done by an HR person or a recruiter. And these people don't really have technical skills to be able to understand what they're hiring for, or like even the intricate details. And so I think the problem is that these people rely on stereotypes to filter people that they basically let through the hiring process. And actually, like, that's the reason that I think, I mean, I don't think it's the reason. I think it might be contributing to it, and we might not be aware of it. And what makes it even more complicated is that most people from the, hiring perspective, etc., they're women. And so basically they try to somewhat project like, maybe, like, I don't know how to say it, but basically try to speak on behalf of technical people where actually they really don't have the mindset to be able to do that. They don't have the frameworks, and I think that's what's causing so many technical people to be really wary of diversity initiatives and stuff like this. I'm not sure exactly how to express it, because I'm still thinking about this idea, and like I know it's not politically correct to say, but honestly I'm just trying to understand like the problem from a pure objective perspective. Like, is it actually helping us or not that basically non-technical people are making the initial decisions on who gets like a first try? And I think that's probably one of the good things about this women in engineering group that I'm a part of, is that actually engineers are basically able to make policies or like shape policies for actual engineers, and not what non-technical people think engineers look like or behave like. I think that gives us like a unique perspective, because basically people who really don't have any knowledge about, first-hand knowledge about this, are shaping. It's like, it's something that I've been thinking about, and it's like absolutely no offense to people who are hiring and stuff like this, but I think it should be a general policy that actually the hiring capability should not be in the hands of hiring specialists, because you cannot really be a hiring specialist. You need to be a technical person. Like, you need to have people who are familiar with the role that you're hiring with doing the screening, and not non-technical people. Because, for example, let's say there's a new technology, okay? Like, some person puts on their CV that that they know how to use this new technology, but basically the hiring POC, the first person who does the screening of the CVs, looks at it and is like, whatever the heck is this? This does not match these, I don't know, skills that are listed, I don't know, that the hiring manager has told me to look for, so Python or whatever. And so they really don't have the technical knowledge to be able to tell this from this. And I think they are trying to learn about it, but it does not basically, it does not make up for the fact that they don't have the technical knowledge. And I think it's like it's a one-way relationship. So basically, if you are a technical person, you can learn, I mean, depending on the people, but I think it should be that technical people should learn what, like, the skills of hiring, like what to look for from those other perspectives, and dedicate like a small portion of their time to help with the screening of resumes and stuff like this, rather than having the screening of resumes be done by people who are not technical or like not within the role. So we can generalize this to basically the roles. Like, if you're hiring a product manager, then you want to have product managers actually being part of the screening, like of the resume screening. And I think it should be like just like some sort of rotation where you just look at CVs for some role that your company is hiring, on like have a small portion of your time doing that, because the accuracy will be much bigger than if a non-technical person does the screening, because they will probably miss uh, some people who are on the edge, like who are doing something really new, but that has not yet propagated to the, like, to be distilled enough for someone who is not in the domain to understand. And I think, like, of course, I think the HR capability slash recruiting capability is super valuable, because I think, if they have a deeper knowledge of people, it's 100% helpful in the sense that they can, you know, guide or like somewhat counsel these technical people when trying to like look for what are the that they for what are the skills that they are looking for, or like for culture fit and all of that stuff. But I don't think they should be the one making the decision. I think basically probably the best technical recruiter would be someone who at some point of their career was a technical person, and then they chose to go to the recruiting side, but that's almost never like that almost never happens because of the difference in status. Like it's actually higher status to be like higher status and higher pay, obviously, to be a technical person than to be a recruiter. And so like there is this like I think as a technical person you will do a better job of determining who else is truly technical from looking at their CV than basically a recruiter would, because like this is from my experience, because I've had an experience with some recruiters where they're like making assumptions about me uh, from like a place of moral high ground. Like you're not in a place to make it like to talk to me that way because you do not have the technical knowledge to be able to do that. So like if it was someone who did have the technical knowledge, then yes, I'm happy to get that feedback. But really, I mean, I'm not trying to piss off recruiters or HR in by any means. I'm just trying to figure out like what's the objectively best way to get the best talent. And I think basically one of the biggest issues that we face is that we're always like, if we only focus on the stereotypes, that's where diversity lacks. And so basically, you will only get the people who fit the stereotypes, but you will not get the really, really, like, really, really competent people who do not fit the stereotypes. And basically, you're just filtering, like, you're making the surface area much smaller in the screening phase. And yeah, I mean, I don't think this is making much sense, to be honest. Like I'm still figuring out how to formulate this, but this is just an intuition that I've had that okay, maybe it should not be people who do not have the technical knowledge to like who should be somewhat gatekeepers to technical roles or like some specific roles. Like it could be a non-technical role, but uh, it should actually be people with the context that should be doing the screening and not just at the interview stage. I think it should be even earlier at the beginning. It's more valuable to have someone who has some sort of background or like who it's their job to do that, to filter, because you I feel like what they do when like what recruiters do when trying to hire is that they actually make the funnel smaller by just filtering out for uh, I don't know, like for stereotypes. And I remember like I heard this somewhere, like there was this recruiter who was saying, oh, we noticed like there was a high correlation between people who have played the piano and good data scientists and stuff like this. So they started looking for people who played the piano. Like if you didn't play the piano, then you would not make it to the interview stage, which is freaking ridiculous. But like it's kind of stupid to think of it that way, because it does not actually account for the whole population and you will get a highly skewed. I'm just trying to figure out like how to like what's the best system to get in the best people in their respective roles, and basically mixing these functionalities, because like 100% I really think that having HR people or recruiters really does have an upside in the sense that they understand some things that a technical person does not understand. And so basically, I think we just need to figure out what's the process, like what's a better process for mixing those two, like making the most out of everyone's strengths, and basically having the decisions made at the like made by the right people to make the decision, basically, and not just having that be done downstream, but I think it should be also done upstream, which I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know, I'm just talking about this from experience, that if you don't have actual background in something, you will just start using and looking for keywords that you don't actually understand, and that makes you a bad judge of whether a specific person is a right fit or not, especially if you're looking at tens of resumes every day, right? And I'm not trying to undermine in any way the skills of HR people. I just think that we need to come up with a better process that, you know, gives the right opportunities to the right people. But if we filter things too early on, then we're only gonna, like, if the process is biased from the get-go, whether it's through unconscious bias or unconscious stereotyping of people, it really does affect the downstream outcome. And then people start to wonder, oh, why don't we have enough of insert ethnicity or or gender in XYZ role, right? So yeah, like I'm super like interested like in learning how to find the right balance, and I'm definitely going to be reading more about this, because when it comes to technical stuff, it's not a two-way door. So a non-technical person it's really hard for them to understand the technical part. That's why they chose a non-technical job. But for a technical person, the complexity that they're able to deal with is different than that of the non-technical person. And I think that a technical person can actually learn this, like, at least a portion of the skills that this non-technical person has, and basically merge that and like with their technical knowledge, and the outcome will be a lot better, uh, just because of the fact that the technical knowledge is the backbone of what you're hiring for. And so if you have someone who does not have that, it's it I mean, I'm going on a tangent, obviously, like, but if they don't have that, then they will only be able to make decisions based on interpolations of what they think is right, which, pulls them away from the truth, because they don't actually know what's the ground, like they're really really far from the ground truth, because they're relying on technical people to teach them like some heuristics, and they're more likely to oversimplify things, and rely on stereotypes to make decisions, because they really don't have the deep understanding to be able to make the right decision. So, like, I might be completely wrong, uh, might be missing lots of stuff, but this is just an intuition that I've had from thinking about this problem recently, and the fact that I just listened to this episode just got me thinking back to this idea of how do we actually get the best people, regardless of how things should be. I mean, regardless of expectations, because I mean, yeah, like regardless of this sense of morals or whatever. I would just rather have decisions be completely data driven and completely that will actually lead to the actual best outcome and not what people think will be the best outcome. That's what matters actually in the long run. So yeah, basically you might have someone who people do not expect at all to be successful, but is actually the most likely person to be successful. So yeah, I know I'm rambling, but just trying to piece together some of these thoughts. I mean, I hope that this was not offensive to anyone or like it's not an easy topic to talk about, and it's obviously still something that I'm trying to figure out myself. So like obviously I'm still learning a lot about this. So just trying to, I don't know, put some thoughts together, and they are super maybe ill presented or like super open to misinterpretation, like the way that I said things. But basically, the hope is that from me expressing these ideas in this super rough form will allow me to hopefully in the long run find out what's the actual good solution. And yeah, so I would love to hear from you all if you have some thoughts about this. If you disagree, you're welcome to comment. I would love to learn about how you all view things from your perspective. Because I'm definitely trying to learn more about this topic, and it's like a hard topic to figure out because basically in any company the most important thing is the people that you have, and so that's like something that we should always be trying to improve and always optimize for, because the quality of the people that you have will determine the outcomes. And basically, as we can see from history and like NBA championships and stuff, it's not just putting the best elements in the say in the in the teams. Like it's not the sum of the individual parts, but it's how those parts interact with each other. And actually, most of the time, the highest performing teams, you don't have the best people on paper. You have people that work well together, and that's what we want to try to optimize for, not the best people on paper, which basically means that when a recruiter is trying to hire, they will always try to get the best person on paper. Like they will always go for the person like that guy has a degree from Harvard or MIT or whatever, but and that will lead them to like ignore people from other schools or who do not have a college degree, whereas it's counterintuitive, but you might not need people from Harvard or MIT or whatever, but you need people who will work together to make the best like to produce the best outcome. So it's a very tough topic to think about, and I think coaches and like that. I think yeah, exactly. Like that's why like for example, basketball coaches, almost all of them, like almost all of the good ones, have had an experience playing professional basketball, and they're the ones making the hiring decisions, right? And it's just like it's the same for any sport almost, and it's this ability to identify with the people that you're hiring for that makes it so valuable to have that from the get-go. That's why you have basketball college coaches going on basketball coaches going on college tours to spot players and stuff like this. It's because they cannot trust someone else to do the filtering for them, because that someone else will only look at the metrics, but the metrics do not represent like what truly makes a player great. You can have a great player, and like actually that's what has been shown, is that the great players almost never have the best metrics, and they have good metrics but they don't have the best. And that's what, like, Leo Messi was considered too short to play, and if people only relied on that, then like, I mean, I don't think people had a choice, obviously, because he he made his way despite all odds. But this despite all odds happens all the time, and it's more common than we think, is that people bet against someone who does not look like they're gonna do as well as they thought, just because they're looking at the wrong things. And if you don't have the deep knowledge to be able to, like, most of the time actually it's hard to quantify these things, and the coaches, for example, they can look at the stats, etc., but they have usually spent so much time in the field that they've developed an intuition that's hard to put into explicit rules to give to other people, right? And that's what makes their knowledge or experience or their eye so valuable, is that they're able to see those things because they have trained their intuition to be able to see those things. And it's not an easy thing to export that intuition into explicit rules, because the explicit rules will almost always, be missing some critical component, and then you will start to be too overconfident that that your model is perfect when it's actually not. And yeah, I mean, I'm rambling, but I think I like this idea of the basketball coaches is a really good analogy for what I was trying to explain earlier. So yeah, I'm glad that I stumbled upon that. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in and listening to my ramblings. I hope this was somewhat helpful to you. You can click here to watch my previous video on this channel, so the one right before this one, or you can click here to watch my latest video on the channel overall. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, night, whichever time of day it is where you are right now. Bye for now, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.